One great way to experience Smoky Mountain history is to take the Roaring Fork Motor Nature Trail out of Gatlinburg. Hi, I'm Rhea Nicholas with AmericanHistoryRoadTrip.com. It would be a mistake to stay in your car though. There are lots of interesting stops along the way. So, let's go have a look. Grist mills were of vital importance to settlers throughout Appalachia. Great Smoky Mountains National Park preserves 4 historic grist mills. 2 of them sit along the Roaring Fork Motor Nature Trail just outside Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Both the Ogle Mill and the Reagan Mill are tub mills, which are fitted with small, horizontal wooden wheels with angled paddles, a primitive kind of turbine. The Noah Budd Ogle Place, an excellent example of a mountain farmstead, lies just outside Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Its primitive tub mill, built around 1885, sits on LeConte Creek, a short wooded walk from the main cabin. Its flume consists of nothing more than a hollowed-out log. The Reagan Mill, built in 1895 by the multi-talented Alfred Reagan, is crafted from sawn lumber with a hand-split oak shingle roof. It sits directly on the Roaring Fork Motor Trail across the road from his homestead. Like the Ogle Mill, it was able to produce enough meal for his family and a few neighbors. Let's take a look next at the John Cable Mill in Cades Cove, near the west end of the park. We're in one of my favorite places in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. We're in Cades Cove. And in the language of the Smokies, a cove means a broad, flat valley surrounded by mountains. What makes this place so magical is that it combines the beauty of nature with some really interesting historical structures. This is the cable mill at Cades Cove, and it has nothing to do with cables. It's a classic overshot mill wheel, the kind that we're accustomed to seeing in picture postcards. But it all starts with the mill race upstream. It's a canal that diverts water from a creek upstream of the mill. It diverts the water into this structure here, which is called a flume, and that directs it then further downstream to the mill wheel itself.
This is the John Cable Mill. It was built by John Cable. His father, Peter Cable, owned a lot of land in this area, and John came over from Virginia, and he and a fellow named Daniel Ledbetter actually built the mill. It's the first overshot water wheel here in Cades Cove. There were other smaller tub mills that just operated on the force of the creek that ran by. This literally drops water on top of the wheel, creates a lot more force, more torque for the machinery to work. So it had a higher capacity to produce cornmeal than any other mill that was here. Water was controlled by 3 different gates along this way. At the top of the mill race, that's the earthen canal that connects to the stream up there. We had 1 water gate. The second one is right there at the end of this fence right there. You can do a secondary control of the water there. And finally, this is the final water gate right here. It's operated out of that window, and you can see peg holes in the window, and they would peg the lever in place to control the flow of the water. 6 gears in this machine, culminating in a shaft that spins the runner stone. Corn into the hopper. Now, corn in the hopper is filling the shoe out. We can regulate the rate of dispensing of the kernels by lifting it or lowering it. The runner stone is actually shearing those kernels into smaller and smaller pieces, like a scissor. Not a grinder, but a scissor. That's the bed stone right there. It's sedentary. It does not move. It's held in place.
Behind me is Mingus Mill, which is situated on the North Carolina side of the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. Follow me and we'll see if we can find out more.
Built with turbine rather than a water wheel. Turbine's much more efficient, water wheel is cheaper. The water wheel can be built by your local blacksmith or carpenter. Turbine takes a foundry and a machine shop to manufacture. You didn't have that in this area. So the turbine that's in here was shipped out of Ohio. I'm still using the same turbine that was put in here in 1886. I run water in that penstock. People don't realize how heavy water is. I've got over 12,000 pounds of water in that tube, pushing straight down. At the bottom is 3 feet by 3 feet. But the pipe coming out of there is 15 inches. Runs underneath the building, goes into the turbine, which is about this big. And it's trapped except for a hole in the bottom. So to get out that hole, this is what they have to go through. Water is going in these fins on all sides and out the bottom to make this thing spin. I'm no longer trying to move a great big huge wheel. I've replaced the weight of the wheel with the weight of the water. My wheel in this mill is literally that. It's 13¼ inches long.
If you lived on the Appalachian frontier about 150 years ago and you wanted bread, your wish probably included a trip to a nearby grist mill. Today, we just run to the grocery store. We don't give much thought to where our bread came from, how it was made, or the whole history behind it. But maybe we should. I know the next time I pop a slice into the toaster, I'm going to pause for a moment of appreciation. Well, that's it for this episode of American History Road Trip, and I will see you sometime in history. Bye.